If you're a combat sports athlete looking for fresh new fight gear, looking to build your brand for your business, or even if you're looking for casual wear to lounge about the house and you're sick of cheap, flimsy clothes that you get from all these other big brands that keep pushing them onto you, then today's sponsor is just for you because I'm going to introduce you to Team Takeover. For the last 6 years, Team Takeover has been my custom apparel designer, and they've stuck with me all the way throughout my amateur MMA career, throughout my 4 pro fights so far. Go to their website, teamtakeoverstore.com, and check them out. Follow them on all their social media, and let Andre know that Al the Postmaster Morrow sent you. And remember this, my own slogan for them is Team Takeover's got you covered. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source of combat sports. I'm your host, Al the Postmaster Morrow, and today I have a gear review of the Maestro Boxeo Lace-Up HHF training gloves. Alright folks, as always, I'm incredibly excited to bring you yet another gear review, as today we have a new brand here on the channel, and to my knowledge, the only brand in the world that has manufactured their gloves out of the country of El Salvador. Please join me in welcoming Maestro Boxeo, and these are their HHF lace-up training gloves. If you're wondering what HHF stands for, really simple actually, unlike a lot of brands that give their gloves really silly and overcomplicated names with numbers. HHF just means horsehair foam. It's telling you exactly what the padding composition is. So you have a pocket of horsehair in the knuckles to give you that nice fight glove feel, but at the same time have the qualities of a training glove with different density foams and latex on the inside to give you that nice pop and recoil, and also protect you, your sparring partners, and keep everything basically safe at the end of the day, which is awesome. Because if you had a raw horsehair glove and you're sparring with it, I want you out of my gym. But in this case, I'm really excited for this review, guys, because it's been long overdue. I unboxed these way back in April, which is a little over 6.5, 7 months now that we're in December of 2025. Just at the time, my knee was not 100% cleared, but I am happy to say I put so much time into these gloves. They became one of my main rotations over the last 6 months. And although I love to break in gloves at that professional quality for maybe a month and a half to 2 months, then do the review, I think I can look at the positive that I've used them so much. I've beat these gloves up and they're still holding up great, and they definitely fit that professional glove category. And you know me as a professional mixed martial artist, training for fights and whatnot, although my last fight didn't go well. These were on my hands virtually every day throughout that fight camp. This and maybe 2 or 3 other pairs, I would say, were on my hands every single day. These were always in my bag. So I'm excited to finally do the review. And I want to apologize to everyone that's asked me questions about these and not putting the review out. And especially, although they sent these to me for a 100% upfront honest review, I don't like keeping brands waiting as long as this ever. I'd like to apologize and thank Maestro Boxeo for their patience. But when it comes to these gloves, guys, what I love about this channel is I'm able to learn so much about different cultures. And when you think about puncher's gloves, you usually think about the country of Mexico. You think about great brands like Reyes, Grant was made in Mexico. I think they still might be, but definitely they were at one point. You also think about Boxeo TM or Torres Medina, whatever they go by nowadays. Bayonetta, Glez is a new one that's out there. Gil, Casanova, all these different brands that are awesome that were based in Mexico. But then you talk about a small Central American country like El Salvador, and you wouldn't think that they'd make a great glove like this. But what's cool about El Salvador is that although they don't have a rich boxing history, in fact, they're still a relatively young country as far as history goes, only being founded in the late 1840s, their whole land that they're based off of has a very rich warrior culture. And I'm probably butchering the pronunciations. I'm terrible with Hispanic pronunciations, but they had sub-Aztec and Mayan cultures called the Lencas, and they also had the Pepils, and they were a very strong warrior tribe of that land back in the day, obviously like ancient cultures. And then over the last 30 years, their boxing culture has developed even more, with one world champion coming from the country of El Salvador, and that was Carlos Famoso, I believe is how you would say the name, which means famous, I would imagine, Hernandez. And he was a featherweight champion, and now you're starting to see a lot more of boxing come from the country of El Salvador, and they're even starting to develop kickboxing and Muay Thai, which I think is absolutely awesome. MMA is still budding there, but actually when I was doing my research during, for this review, during my research, I found that even over the last couple of years, you're starting to see more large boxing events happen in the country of El Salvador, which I think is absolutely amazing. And I'm sure El Salvadoran boxers are very proud to have a brand that is made in their country. Now, being upfront, they are similar to some other Mexican gloves that I've used, but for me, they are unique in their own ways. I think it's awesome that these gloves have their own unique purpose, and I think El Salvador should be proud that they have their own brand. I know there are some USA brands out there that I'm very proud to say as a US citizen that I'm able to use. So it's absolutely awesome that El Salvador has their own brand. And of course, I love puncher's gloves, so it all works together. So with that said, guys, I've talked long enough. I always put timestamps so you can skip through stuff. Let's go into the exact model I have today. This is for your reference. I have the yellow coloration 16-ounce lace-up model. To my knowledge, what I've seen on their website and their eBay page, there is only the lace-up option available. If there were Velcro, obviously as an MMA guy, I prefer Velcro. It's just easier to get on and off. But the lace-ups are very, very well done. You have two sizes that I've seen, and that is 14 and 16, so they are definitely marketing more towards that sparring glove size. Very rarely, unless they're kids or very, very small individuals, do I see anyone use 12 to spar in. It's usually almost always 14 and above. I'd say 14, 16, and 18 I see for sparring use in boxing anyway, but you can get them in two sizes. These are 16 ounces. You can get them in, I believe, 5 colors. I got the really nice sports car yellow, but you can get them in yellow, red, black, white, and blue. So I believe it's the 5 colors, and they all look just as sharp as this, that really nice reflective paint. And for me, it gives you that awesome sports car. Like I think of a really nice Lamborghini when it comes to this color here. But it's a very nice yellow color. It's pretty close to me to like a Fairtex yellow, but I think this is a bit more of a richer, vibrant yellow, which is awesome. But again, for your reference for the rest of the video, I got the yellow coloration 16 lace-up closure glove. Now we go with the actual look of the glove. Like I said, when we come up close, you can see, obviously I got the light on it, the ring light, but you can see how the light really reflects off that really well done dye that's on the leather itself, which yellow's always been used for boxing glove because the yellow dye is really soft and supple, and you can actually feel that if you ever get these gloves. But on the back, you can see we have a really nice, well done oval logo that says Maestro Boxeo, and you can see the El Salvadoran flag right there, which is blue, white, and blue. Those stripes right there, and you have a black background with white lettering. That looks really well, and honestly, compared to a lot of other brands that I've seen, this logo has held up way better even than like Cleto Reyes' logo, which is notorious for falling off, but in this case, it stays on really well. No nicks in that or the other glove either. We go over here, you can see we have like a whitish brown welted seam, so it gives it that nice, really professional, well done look. We have the same thing coming up to the thumb. That whitish brown welted seam is more white on the outside, but the thumb attachment itself is yellow. And then when we come over to the palm, you can see that we have more of that welted seam, and that goes throughout the entire side of the glove. The up top part of the glove is what I'm trying to say. Here, that's white, as you can see, but when we go to the grip bar, that's yellow. You also have some breathe holes there. You have more of the welted seams towards that part of the thumb. And obviously, when we come down to the laces, these are white, and that works really well with the yellow. It's a nice complementing color. You can also see on the inside here that the laces, or not laces, the stitching is all yellow, which matches perfectly, and it blends really, really well in. And honestly, you can't really see much of the stitching because of the yellow, so they did a really good job of matching the color there. What I really like about this glove, I feel like it complements it well, is when we open up the glove a little bit, you can see the interior lining is this really nice, beautiful, reflective blue, which complements the yellow a lot. And I imagine that would complement a color like red too. I think the black would work well with that. I wonder what they did for the blue color. Maybe it was a red lining, but overall it's a really nice reflective blue. We come down here and it says onzas, which I believe just translates to ounces. It says 16, and that's actually a leather tag, which is cool. It says that on the other side as well. And on the bottom here, you can see it says Maestro Boxeo. It has the stars there. I believe the 5 stars usually in marketing in general means that it's a 5-star product. And then it says, if I pronounce it horribly, don't make fun of me too much, but it says Corazón de los Valientes, which basically means the heart of the brave in Spanish. And then at the bottom it says Hecho in El Salvador. So that's really awesome that they're doing that. And of course we have the El Salvadoran flag again. You got the blue, white, and blue there with a nice cloth patch on the 3-cuff ridge. Then you have more of the welted seams going down there. So overall, it is a really nice professionally looking glove, and I love that about it. But let's go ahead and talk about the construction of the glove, the overall build, talking about the outer shell, and that is a full grain cowhide leather, and it's a very thick leather. You have a lot of material to pull off of the glove here, and when you have a really good solid leather, it's soft itself, which adds to the padding of the glove too. A lot of people don't understand that, but thick hide, good quality full grain cowhide is very, very soft, and it feels very soft when you pull it together. Way back when, actually, and some people still do, it turns out, actually would take cowhide or caribou hide and fold it over because the membrane of the hide is so thick, they would use it as a pillow, which I think is kind of cool. So it adds to that texture. It's still 6.5, 7 months later, smells like a brand new quality leather coat or shoe. Smells like a brand new wallet, and it feels absolutely amazing. You can also see the natural grain marks that are going throughout the entirety of the glove and the leather here. So there's no mistaking it's made out of great quality leather. Now, it doesn't feel like a lot of other Mexican gloves I've tried. They might be using Mexican leather, I don't know, but it doesn't feel as rugged or tough as a Mexican hide. And you got to think about the climate that Mexican cattle are in. It's more dry, humid, things like that. Or dry, not humid, dry, hot. I don't know why I confuse hot and humid. Probably because they both start with H. But in this case, this feels more like a soft plush leather, which I love because it adds more to that puncher's feel, in my opinion. So you have that as far as the leather goes, and that's all the way throughout the glove. And even the ounce tag is made out of that nice leather, which is really nice. The welted seams is made out of that leather, and basically what that does is it seals it all off. They burn it to the edge. That way it keeps everything in one place, and it doesn't allow for stitching or anything to pop out as easily. And it's not nearly as cheap as just putting regular thread stitching on the outside like some other brands do. Welted seams is basically leathered seams, and then they burn it again so it keeps it tight in there. And you can see where some of the burn marks are for that welted seam. But you have a lot of that leather. Well, the whole glove is made out of that leather, except for obviously the laces, the interior lining, and the stitching. When we talk about the padding, again, HHF, horsehair foam. And you can actually hear, if we're quiet, the crinkles of the horsehair right there. And if we go to the back, you have more of that horsehair on the back of the glove too. Obviously, you're not really going to have a lot of the horsehair that's going down here, but you will have a lot, especially in that pocket that is right over the knuckles. And again, what we do there is the horsehair foam blend that's been going on over the last, I'd say 5 or 6 years, people are starting to do it, but over the last 2 years, people are really starting to nail it down. One of the first gloves I really remember trying that had that was the Sabas Bella series. They did it very well, but now brands are doing it exceptionally well, like these gloves do here. The horsehair is what you use in most fight gloves, and they're called puncher's gloves because essentially you punch through a horsehair, and it's very unforgiving on someone's face, but it's also unforgiving on the knuckles, so you want to make sure you have strong hands. But people like the horsehair feel all the time. They like hitting bags with it, they like hitting pads with it, but never sparred in it. But what people are starting to do, like with the HHF, the foam on the inside is a high density and mid density foam. As you can see here, when I push it in, you also have latex as well, which gives you that nice pop. So when I let this go, it pops right back. But you can see some parts of it, maybe not on the camera as much, but I can see it in person. When you're closing it here, you're going to see the top layer pop out because there's a little bit of that latex foam at the top, so it feels, when I do that, it pops out. But the rest of it is starting to kind of fill in like it needs to get air back into it, like a high-density open cell foam would. So you have a really nice, well-balanced foam compartment over the horsehair, which is awesome. And what's nice is it's not too thick either. You would think that if you wanted to protect the knuckles more, you'd use a thicker foam, but no, it's a very dense foam that protects the knuckles along with that horsehair feel. And compared to a lot of other puncher's gloves I've tried, honestly, these feel incredible as far as the actual knuckle protection goes. I still feel the horsehair, but I believe they put the horsehair at the very base part of it. That way when I punch, I definitely feel it like I'm punching through, but I feel like I'm punching through to the soft foam on the other side that really cradles my knuckles, which is absolutely amazing. There's some gloves I've tried that have that, but the thing is when I hit it, I feel my knuckles go through the whole glove before anything else. So I really like how the foam was layered on the inside, and you have more of that foam towards the tip of the fingers here, which is a little bit more firm, obviously, because you're not hitting that as much. And then you also, with the thumb, have a very firm foam on the side too. It's soft enough so you can move it, but the thumb itself is a pretty firm foam that feels very similar to this. And as you can see, it was split here, probably for coloration reasons as well, but it also has its own independent shape like a lot of other Mexican style gloves would. It has that really fat curved thumb, but it also has that Japanese curve up to the bottom of the actual knuckles itself, which is really nice. I like a fatter thumb. I like to move my thumbs around for some reason, but it gives you a really nice solid grip. You have more of that really nice foam towards the back of the hand and the wrist as well. And as you can see, we have a 3-cuff ridge. And what that does, obviously, it's a track for the laces to fit perfectly. But what it also does is it stops shock from getting down to the elbows, the shoulders, and it also protects your wrists a little bit more because when you compress it, you can see that it's a really thick, high-density foam. Basically feels like a really firm, how should I word that? A really firm like mattress topper that's on the inside here, if not a really soft rubber, I'd say, on the back of the wrist. So you have 3 big pieces here of really firm foam, and you also have a nice split here of the wrist, but it continues down, which is nice. So it's really firm here on the back of the hand to protect the top of your wrist, and it's really firm here to protect the rest of your wrist, which is awesome. But it is split into 2 parts, but I like that they continue the protection down the way. Same thing again with the thumb with that really firm padding. We turn it over to the palm, and this is where more protective qualities come out in this glove. We can see that the grip bar, super soft grip bar. I love the grip that you get in these. They're very easy to open and close. As you can see here when I do that, that is just as easy when my hand's inside. I'll show you that in a second. On top of it, the thumb piping is not that tight at all. It's firmer than most of the glove, but it's not that tight, so I'm able to, again, move my thumb easily, because the worst feeling, honestly, one that gets that doesn't get talked about enough, is when that thumb piping really clamps down on that inner part of your thumb, and you feel like you can't move your thumb freely. But you're able to move it perfectly, because that piping, again, is really not that firm, which is awesome. It's nice and soft. And then you have that piping, which is also leather going throughout the laces. The eyelids are very smooth, which I'll show in a second, but the other part I love about this glove, not only does it balance it out, but it adds more protective qualities. And for me, it just adds a safety measure. You have really soft open cell foam here on the side of the grip bar, and on the palm, and you have it on this side as well. Again, that's to balance out the glove. But what I love about it as an MMA fighter, guys, is for one, we do a lot of like Dutch drills where you catch for each other when it comes to kickboxing, and for two, if you take a kick or a punch that's really hard, that little added bit of padding, as much as people won't believe, does take a bit of steam off it, which is very, very nice. So if I'm doing partner drills and say I'm doing like a one or a jab into a roundhouse kick, you know, and I'm able to catch it with both my hands like this, like Thai pads, it takes that bit of pressure off my arms, and it may not mess my wrist up as much as some others would, which is absolutely nice. Again, we have the nice padding here. The stitching is good, but the eyelids for the laces are absolutely exceptional. They open up really wide just from pulling 2 laces down, but just so you can see even further in, I'll pull the other lace up, and it opens up wide. That's the nice part about it. I don't like yanking the whole glove up if I don't have to. In this case, I never did. And you have a very wide hand compartment. The lining itself is a really nice satin lining, and it is very moisture wicking. Very rarely did I ever even feel like it was moist when I took my hand outside of the glove, even though I don't train with hand wraps a lot. I have, obviously, so you guys know if it will fit with hand wraps. And that's the one nice thing about this. Very comfortable. It doesn't get like rough on the inside at all. Sometimes I find with thumbs that they do, but what I love about this is towards the tip of the fingers, you feel more of like a nice, it's almost like a fleece feeling, but it's not fleece at all. It's more of like a really soft plush pillow satin, and it's really nice to the tips of the fingers. Again, the grip you're able to get in these right out of the box is amazing. They obviously need to break in. I'd say after about 2 or 3 rounds on the bag, they broke in just fine. But for me, I'm able to get solid grips if I work Muay Thai or clinch, wrestling, anything I can think of on the back of the arms or wrists, back of of the head, top of the head. I'm able to wrestle in these. You're actually able to get nice grips on the wrists and stuff like that. And what I love about them too is when I pull them tight, they don't move on my hand at all. Sometimes my hands are just are fat, so they move a little bit, but in this case I have a ton of room on the inside here, so I have been able to use really big fat wraps with knuckle guards and everything, and been able to fit them on the inside perfectly. So if you're a pro boxer that wants a nice puncher's glove and you do your big wraps each day with gauze and tape, you have tons of room for that. So if that was a concern of yours, that's not a concern anymore, I hope. You have tons of room here, and what I love is that it has a really nice balanced feel. It is a little bit more heavy, I guess you could say, towards the base, because you can see the uneven distribution in the center here by the wrist, but still really nice positive shock absorption here on the back of the wrist when I nail it like this. Same thing for the front. Right there, I can not really feel the outlines of my knuckles as much. I can feel the impact here. I can feel like I'm pushing down on it. But again, that foam on top is really cradling and protecting my knuckles. And again, compared to some other gloves out there, I gotta untie these because if I try and take it off, well, actually, let me tighten it so you can see. This is without hand wraps. If I really try and take these off, it's really stuck on there, right? But in this case, guys, I like how well balanced this glove is. Again, if I put my hand in the middle, you can see it's not going anywhere. It's staying right there. If I go a little bit down here, naturally it'll go forward. If I go a little bit down there, naturally it'll go there. But in the middle, as you can see, okay, so a little bit towards the top. But again, in the middle, you can see here, it's really well balanced, which is awesome. And I love well balanced gloves. But overall, I've loved using the gloves so far. They're very protective for a puncher's gloves. They have a great pop because of the foam composition and that horsehair. But let's go ahead and go into the bag work, and then we'll come back with my final thoughts. So when it comes to the bags with these gloves, the one thing I mention a lot is that they're super well balanced, and you get a really nice recoil and pop off the gloves. Because they're so well balanced, you're really able to sink your punches into every shot, and you're able to just rattle off with consistent energy. When it comes to bag work, I absolutely love these gloves because they not only have great clinch for knees, as you can see, but I get an unlimited amount of energy with these. You get an awesome puncher's feel because of the horsehair and the latex, but I love you have that medium and high density foam layers on the inside as well to really cradle and protect your knuckles, your wrist. Everything just feels nice, solid, and protected. I like the big punch surface as well. That way you're able to catch everything on the bag and in sparring. In general, it is a really fun punching experience. I think everyone would really enjoy this awesome puncher's glove with great protective qualities. I love hitting the heavy bag with the Maestro Boxeo HHF lace-up training glove so far. So when it comes to the look of the glove, like I said, that logo on the front pops right out at you, and that solid, brilliant yellow color looks amazing, and it just screams professionalism. It doesn't have to be fancy with flames or anything like that. Sometimes when you have a really basic-looking glove that has that sophisticated pro look to it, it just looks awesome. The cloth patch on the back is great. You're able to see everything about the glove and how it works, and you're really able to let these gloves go. They look awesome. All right, folks, my final verdict here for the Maestro Boxeo HHF lace-up training gloves is, for the year of 2025, these have become one of my favorite gloves to use. I couldn't tell you if they're in my top 10 or 5 because I haven't even started to make that list, but I use these a lot, especially leading up to my last fight. And although the fight didn't go that well, believe me when I tell you that I put so much time, especially when it comes to bag work on a daily basis, whether it be in the morning or my evening sessions. I'm in front of a heavy bag for at minimum 45 minutes to an hour every day. And these were on my hands almost every day. It was between these and maybe 2 other gloves, but I use these so much, and what I love about them is that they perform the way I wanted them to, and they match my punching style a lot. I know it was a really long-winded beginning, but when I've had a glove for so long, I'm able to tell you all the fancy nuances about it and how it felt for me, and especially when I like a pair of gloves, I find that I talk a little bit longer, but when it comes to these, I'm excited to finally get this review out there. But let's go ahead and talk about the positives of the gloves, and we'll go into what I would change, and then of course my final thoughts. Now when it comes to what I like about the gloves, first and foremost, starting out with the durability and quality is outstanding. And for a glove that's you're going to spend about $245 to $250 on, which is what these gloves go for, plus shipping, I'd say it would probably be about $20. So you're going to look at, like, let's just say $270, $280. That's what you're going to come to expect from a professional glove of this quality, is the quality and durability of the glove. The outer shell has not changed a bit. It has broken in beautifully. There's no stitching that's fraying anywhere. The welted seams have not popped out one bit. The interior lining does does not get smelly. It doesn't wear or fray on your hand. It feels awesome in general. And again, guys, I've told you guys for a while, I don't always train with hand wraps. I do sometimes, especially if I'm doing very, very long heavy bag sessions, but sometimes, guys, I just don't wear hand wraps. It's just my preference because my hands are pretty strong. Most heavyweight hands are. But in this case, I've used these gloves more without hand wraps than with, and the interior lining didn't fray one time on me. And again, they clean very easily, which is awesome. And when you have good quality leather like this, very easy to clean. Very rarely do you have to treat it. I think I've only treated this glove once just to see its reaction to the products that I use. But overall, it looks very good. Very easy to clean and maintain as well. In general, everything's just simple about the glove. The design is pretty upfront as well. When you talk about a basic glove, like most of the gloves that you see, like say Cleto Reyes literally just has an oval logo and a cloth patch and a solid color most of the time. And that's what you have here. And it works very well. And on top of it, the dye that they use for the leather is very nice. It doesn't stiffen the leather up. It feels perfectly well balanced. So the durability, the quality, and the maintenance of the glove is absolutely awesome. One thing that I love about the trend of the horsehair foam gloves is that you're starting to see puncher's gloves that have pillow qualities to it. Now, I wouldn't call these a pillow puncher glove at all. I would still call them a puncher's glove, but they are definitely more protective than most puncher's gloves I've tried. Now, if I were to compare the protective qualities of this glove versus a Reyes, it's not even close. This glove is far more protective and it's far more balanced. It is not your typical top-heavy, flat puncher's glove that you're going to see from most other brands out there. Like I said, it is very, very well balanced. Obviously, a little bit more of the weight is going to go towards the front because you have the overall build, but the weight distribution towards the back because of that 3-cuff ridge and the heavier foam that you have back here, very protective, very soft to the wrist, but the knuckle protection is absolutely outstanding. I think it's because they have that really nice blend of that high density and mid density foams that you have here. It's not too soft, it's not too firm, it's perfectly in the middle for me, so I'd call it that medium soft, medium firm range. And you also have that horsehair and latex on the inside. The latex gives you that awesome pop back feel because obviously latex comes from rubber, and that's what you get with most brands. Like I mentioned, Cleto Reyes, their whole padding is just a sheet of latex, whereas this has multi-blended foams to keep you protected. So you have that awesome pop from the latex, you have that puncher sink-in feel from the horsehair, but you also have the protective qualities of the high and mid-density foams on the inside of the glove here to keep your hand balanced and protected. And whenever I punch, guys, it feels like my hand is getting hugged by that soft foam, which is awesome, and it's the same effect that most pillow style gloves will give me. So it's such a fun punching experience knowing I can lay into the bag as hard as I want, I can punch as fast as I want, and really not worry so much about my hands. Again, I have stronger hands, so if you really feel like you just can't have puncher's gloves or gloves that have horsehair because your hands are that brittle, obviously look elsewhere, but I think it's a good glove to try because when you have a well-balanced glove, it means your hand's not going to go all over the place on the inside, and when you have a really well-protected glove with those different foam blends, I think it means safety most of the time. Well, I'd say it means safety, meaning I think it'd be safe for you. When it comes to the wrist support, again, because you have the 3-ridge cuff and you also have the padding on the other side for your forearm, it protects all ends of your wrist, the front and the back. And people will often, most breaks happen at the top of the wrist, but they can still happen here and you can still experience a lot of pain, a lot of bruising and stuff in this part of the wrist because a lot of the impact doesn't necessarily go down here, but still you're able to hug the wrist more because you have that nice padding and it's able to really hug the back of your wrist in general and keep that glove well balanced. I like that the padding is firm on the back of the hand as well, similar to the top of the hand, but it's a lot firmer down here, obviously, because you're not nailing that on the bag every day, but that's going to keep the back of your hand up here, your metacarpals metacarpal safe, and you're also going to keep the back of your wrist safe. And on top of it, the laces track perfectly because you have the 3-ridge cuff here, so you start up here, really tighten that down, and you're good to go. So you have really awesome wrist support, great knuckle protection. The thumb positioning is awesome, and you have that classic Mexican thumb, although this is an El Salvadoran glove, and it does have a bit of a tip to it, and it does curve a little bit further underneath the knuckles compared to some other Mexican gloves that maybe curve a little bit farther out there. This feels absolutely awesome, and you're able to have good mobility. And on top of it, if you're doing boxing, kickboxing, MMA, they open up really well because the thumb is perfectly on the side enough to where it gives you that nice natural position. They also open very well. The grip bar being so soft allows you to grip and make a nice tight fist in a good grip at all times, which is awesome. They feel very comfortable, and there's tons of room on the inside of the hand compartment, which is always a good sign, especially if you're a professional boxer watching this and you do use gauze and tape every day. Your coach wraps your hand. Tons of room for that. Plenty of room for it. There's not an excess of room, meaning that when you do that, it's going to move all over the place. And even like I said, I don't train with hand wraps on all the time. And when I put my hand on the inside here, right, it doesn't move around on me. It doesn't creep down. It doesn't slide here or there. Like my arm's moving a little bit, but not a lot. My fingers are still up in the grip bar, which is awesome. All I got to do is push it back down and I'm good to go. It does not shift on my hand, especially when I tighten this perfectly tight like that. Keep that tight here. It ain't going anywhere at all. So if I do that, my arm's not moving anymore. All right, that's the idea. So that's basically what I love about the glove, is how balanced and how protected it is. The thumb feels great. The knuckles feel great. It has that nice, it's still a little flat, but it still has a nice round part, I'd say, to the back of the knuckles here, which is what you want to really protect that hand. But overall, one of the more protective puncher's gloves that I've ever tried, which is absolutely awesome. And I love that you're starting to see that now. So if you've ever wanted to try a puncher's gloves with horsehair in it, this is a good glove to try, in my opinion. And on top of it, like I said, the quality of the leather is great, and they're very easy to maintain. You don't need a lot of maintenance with these gloves. I would just always tell you, when you're done with your session, take them out, let them air dry. You don't have to get my whole fancy setup with a glove purifier and everything like that. Take them out, let them air dry, clean them every couple days. Make sure that you put like disinfecting stuff in there, whether you want to use all natural, use your Vapor Fresh. If you want to use just a basic chemical, use Lysol spray, and it'll kill whatever's on the inside of the glove. But again, the lining is super comfortable. It feels like a nice satin pillow. So, is there anything that I would change about the glove? You know, it's hard, especially when there's so many positives to the glove, that I could say I would change anything about it. If I were to make any difference, you know, for me, I like that it's a shorter wrist cuff compared to others, but some boxers may prefer a longer wrist cuff. But for me, it's right about there with every other brand. I like that it doesn't eat my whole forearm. I don't like that. I like shorter, heavier gloves, I guess is the way I would word it, like tie gloves. I've always liked tie gloves, but I don't like that it takes a drawback of the wrist support. In general, they feel awesome. So with all that said, you're probably wondering, Al, what type of rating would you get these? What are your final thoughts? Would I change anything? And honestly, like I said, and talking about some of the negatives, I don't really have a lot of negatives about these gloves. And I know sometimes I give really high ratings for things, but for me, I have a great experience with most of the gloves I use because I try and find great gear for you to use in general. I don't like to review bad stuff. I know that gets requested a lot, but in this case, there's nothing bad about the gloves for me. The only drawback I would say is if you have brittle hands and you do not like puncher's gloves, obviously don't buy them, is the one thing I would say. But for me, they cross off all boxes. They keep me safe. They keep my knuckles, my wrists safe. They keep my sparring partners safe. They're awesome when you hit the bag. You get unlimited amount of energy from these. They have a really nice, unique puncher's glove feel. And on top of it, they fit great. They're comfortable. They don't fray. They're easy to maintain. And they just cross all of my boxes here. And that's what I would tell you. My rating, guys, and again, I always give high ratings because I always review good gear. I will start reviewing some bad ones for you if you want. But in this case, for me personally, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 because it crossed all my boxes. But because it may not cross everybody's box, I will give it a 9 out of 10 and still put it in that S tier as an excellent glove. Compared to some other gloves I've tried, like New Sport, I like them more than I do my New Sportings. I like them just about as much as my Bayonettas. I like them more than the Grants that I have. I like them more than Reyes as far as like protective qualities go. They're up there with all of your standard puncher's gloves, and I love that El Salvador has their own brand to really be proud of, and that's awesome. Again, if you have brittle hands and you think that a puncher's glove just isn't going to do it for you, avoid them is what I would say, but they are one of the more balanced and protective puncher's gloves I've tried, and they last a long time. 6.5 months I've had in these gloves, and I've beat them up, guys, and they haven't changed one bit, and they're just easy to maintain. You don't have to do a lot with them. Just when you're done with your session, take them out of your bag, let them air dry. You don't need to do my whole fancy setup as I mentioned earlier, but in this case, the gloves have crossed all boxes off for me. I have absolutely loved using them, and I think a lot of people would too. For me, my favorite is balanced puncher's gloves, and this is one of the more balanced puncher's gloves I've had. Are they my top 10 favorite gloves of all time? I don't know. I'm really bad at making lists like that, but as far as the year of 2025, for sure, they're one of my favorite gloves I've tried, and I've absolutely loved using them. So I hope I was able to answer all of your questions. Again, there's not a whole lot of drawbacks unless you don't like puncher's gloves is what I would say. Are there some gloves out there that may be better quality? I don't know, because these have held up quality-wise for me for a very long time, and I beat them up, so that's just my opinion. Now, I might try some other gloves in the future. I'm like, I like them a little bit more than this, but hey, that's been happening ever since I tried the channel. Cutter Reyes used to be my favorite boxing glove of all time, and that they've been overshadowed for years now, so you never know. But with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching this review. I hope I answered all of your questions when it came to these gloves. I am so happy I finally got to get in front of the camera and finally record the review for these, as it's long overdue. Again, thank you to Maestro Boxeo and everyone watching this for your patience. I know I've had these for a while. I've had tons of questions about these gloves. I've answered over private messages and emails I got about the gloves, and I'm finally able to put it out there and answer it all. Really awesome gloves. I've enjoyed them, and we got some more reviews coming down the line. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you get alerted when I post a new review. I got a lot more time to put into the channel now. I'm very happy about. I know I've been gone for the last year. It's been crazy, but now I'm going to keep it rolling here. On top of it, please comment below, ask me any questions, or if I missed anything, please put that in the comment section below, and message me on my social media pages. I'm usually more active on Instagram as far as responding to messages go, and I've been responding to a lot of emails lately, so feel free to reach out via the email as well. Thank you so much for watching Your Source for Combat Sports. I've been your host, Al the Postmaster Morrow, here with the Combat Corporation. As always, I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.